Picture this, a compact economy car built around a brand new inline-six engine showing up to a NASCAR race and beating every other compact car so badly that NASCAR had to cancel the rest of the series just to give the competition time to regroup. That wasn't a fantasy, that actually happened. And it happened because Chrysler did something that Ford and GM weren't willing to do. They took their new little inline-six engine very seriously. That engine was the famed slant-six, but the package that whooped everybody's butt was called the Hyper Pak, and together it pulled off one of the most lopsided wins in NASCAR compact history. See, in the 50s, bigger was better, at least as most car makers were concerned in the US. Gas was cheap and people wanted size and comfort when it came to their cars. At least that's what the big three thought. However, in the latter half of the decade, cars like the Volkswagen Beetle and the Nash Metropolitan started selling like hotcakes. They were smaller, more maneuverable, and less expensive. They filled an area in the market that nobody was sure existed until these companies tried it. The big three saw the writing on the wall and they scrambled to create their own compact offerings. The Plymouth Valiant, the Chevy 2 and the Chevy Corvair, and the Ford Falcon were all born in quick succession. Now, the Plymouth Valiant was the first new platform out there to feature Chrysler's all-new slant-six inline six-cylinder engine. It was a totally new design with the cylinders tilted 30 degrees off to one side. Willem Wertman was the managing engineer of the engine design group at Chrysler, and he encouraged Chrysler leadership to make significant investments into this new little engine. The base model slant-six was a 170 cubic inch mill that was uniquely low profile compared to other offerings. That slant angle of the block made it possible for Chrysler to lower the hood lines of cars with the slant-six engines, which was very fashionable at the time. The engine was efficient and rugged, making about 30 miles per gallon in a Valiant, running at 40 miles per hour. Obviously, if you were to go faster, MPG would drop, but it was still solid for the time, especially with the aerodynamics of Valiant being particularly like a brick. These newer compacts started to gain popularity fast, and NASCAR responded by creating a new compact sedan class, and all the automakers started trying to improve their power and handling of these new smaller offerings. The lengths they went to do this, though, varied, because Ford and GM, although they wanted to compete in this, they didn't really take the compact sedan class seriously at first. They thought they could just get what they needed with some relatively minor upgrades to their cars. Chrysler was different though. They had already invested a lot into building the brand new slant-six architecture. So they decided to keep up with that trend and really put everything they could into making the slant-six an excellent racing engine. Not only did they make extensive changes to the engine internals by increasing compression, installing an aggressive race-prepped cam, and improving the valve train, but they also opened up the exhaust and designed a crazy ram air intake with a massive Carter AFB 4-barrel carburetor and tubular headers. The ram air intake is a hallmark of certain muscle cars, but for a Valiant this early on, this was rare to see. A ram air intake essentially just shoved pressurized air into the engine to help increase power and torque in the mid-range and also give it some more up top. Now, the slanted engine left a lot of room on one side of the engine compartment because of that slant. So, Chrysler used that space to fit in an intake manifold that had carefully chosen lengths leading to different pairs of cylinders. The idea was that around 4,500 RPM, the pressure created by air moving to one pair of cylinders helped push air more efficiently towards the other pairs of cylinders. The net effect was a major boost in torque at around 4,500 RPM. And this was something that was very hard to do in a traditional inline six because the inline sixes everybody else offered had the cylinders standing perfectly straight up. The improvements that Chrysler made to these slant-sixes had a huge effect on performance. Now, they were already working from a powerful base with the slant-six compared to Ford and GM. The base 170 cubic inch slant-six put out 101 horsepower at 4,400 RPM. However, their race improvements, that brought power up to somewhere around 182 horsepower, and you could rev it up to 6,600 RPM.
Good out the back.
With a top speed around 130 miles per hour. Now, of course, if Chrysler wanted to race this engine, NASCAR rules required them to offer something similar to regular buyers. Thus, the Hyper Pak slant-six was born. In 1960, you could get your Plymouth Valiant with the upgraded engine that had many of the same upgrades as the race-prepped Valiants. The commercial street-going version of the Hyper Pak bumped the power of the 170 cubic inch inline six from 101 horsepower up to 148 horsepower, a near 50% increase. It had a 10.5-to-1 compression ratio with a tamer cam than the actual race motors because this was a road car, but the performance gains were still vast. These lighter Valiants with the Hyper Pak slant-six in them in a lot of ways could keep up with some of the larger, lower trim V8 cars and sometimes even be faster. NASCAR's official rules pitted one compact car against the other, and the Valiant didn't need to beat larger and more powerful cars to win its class though. NASCAR accepted Chrysler's souped-up Valiant for the 1960 racing season, and Ford and GM didn't know what hit them. The race version of the Hyper Pak Valiant was practically unbeatable. In one race, all 7 of the top 7 cars to finish the race were Valiants. A Falcon took 8th place, and a Corvair took 9th place. That blowout was so bad that NASCAR apparently scrapped the rest of their plans for that series and had to rethink and give other companies time to adjust to make it competitive. But that win was huge bragging rights for the Hyper Pak slant-six and the Valiant. Chrysler at this time got to work on a larger displacement version of the engine that they unveiled, which was the 225 cubic inch slant-six for the 1961 model year. Valiants and Dodge Lancers could both take advantage of that hot new motor with all the extra cubic inches. The 225 version got its own Hyper Pak upgrades, and they were a little bit less extreme than the 170. However, the extra cubes and upgrades were enough to take the 225 slant-six from 145 horsepower at 4,000 RPM and 215 foot-pounds of torque at 2,800 RPM to a very impressive 195 horsepower at 5,200 RPM. Now, the 170 was a near-ish square design with a 3.4-inch bore and a 3.125-inch stroke, but the 225, that was a different animal. To add 55 cubic inches to that motor, they kept the bore size the same, but they increased the stroke to a massive 4.125 inches. They added a whole inch to the stroke of the motor. This undersquare design gave the 225 really strong torque at low RPM, and made an excellent street car for that because you got more torque down low. Racing versions of the 170 needed to idle high and you needed to rev the car more to get more power out of it, but the 225 was arguably a better street motor. However, as far as I could tell, it never got its chance to prove itself in a big race like the 170. Chrysler offered the Hyper Pak version of the 225 through the end of the 1962 model year. Of the tens of thousands of slant-six engines that were made in those 3 years, only a few hundred buyers were willing to put down the sizable price increase for the Hyper Pak, which was over $400. Mind you, that was 1/4 the base price of a Valiant for a souped-up inline six. It was a difficult justification for most people to make on an economy car, because the real performance-hungry people would have gone upmarket to a different car in the lineup, more likely than not, rather than buying a Valiant. And because of that, this is such an unknown engine, but it's almost a little bit of a legend in its own right. The slant-six, everybody knows, is a very solid power plant. It was a commercial success for like 30 years. But this thing beat up Ford and GM so bad that they had to take their compact cars a lot more seriously after that. In terms of high-performance slant-six, there were a few other performance versions that mostly hailed from Argentina, where they were able to try a 2-carb version of the engine starting in 1965 and a separate high-performance version in 73. In 1976, there was a Super 6 version of the inline six that was good for a 10% power boost right in the middle of the era where the EPA was strangling everybody, but nothing that ever got the kind of attention, success, or boost in power that the Hyper Pak did with those initial few years of the slant-six. Original Hyper Pak slant-sixes are super rare today, and for a couple reasons. First is, like I mentioned before, there just weren't that many of them made. However, the other issue is that some of those early slant-six engines were part of an experimental aluminum block manufacturing effort. They had cast iron cylinder liners that were a common failure point. Chrysler just gave up on this process in 1963, and many of those aluminum slant-sixes are not around anymore. Thankfully, there still are plenty of iron slant-sixes around if you needed a motor. Now, modern aftermarket companies have gotten their hands on detailed schematics for Hyper Pak intakes and other parts. So if you do have a slant-six laying around, you could in theory order everything you needed to make your own Hyper Pak at home for a couple $1,000 depending on how far you want to go with it, which would make for a very unique yet very cool Valiant build if you can find a clean early 60s Valiant, which is also becoming very difficult. But that does wrap up the full story of the Hyper Pak slant-six. Now let me know in the comments down below if you've ever heard of this engine before, because to be honest with you, I didn't hear about this thing until very recently, but upon doing more and more research, I think it is super cool. So I'm just curious if you ever heard of these, and if you were one of the few people to ever own a Hyper Pak equipped slant-six car, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Otherwise though, thank you all for watching again. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one, enthusiasts.